Lawmakers in Florida passed a bill that would let landlords remove squatter tenants without having to go through the expensive eviction process. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News.
I own the house.
It's been a year since Patty Peoples found strangers had moved into her rental property.
Record it.
They refused to leave, and it was Peoples who was banned from the premises as the case spent weeks moving through civil court.
God.
After confrontations,
Your police report states this is under investigation. So with that being said, we don't have to leave anything until the police comes back and tell us what would be the
I have every right to be in this house.
You don't have every right to be in the house at all.
I do, ma'am.
You do not.
and threats,
Protect my house, I'm finna bear arms.
the women were evicted,
Stolen washer dryer.
and the house was left with tens of thousands of dollars worth of damage. When Peoples first found those unwanted guests living here, they produced a lease, telling police they were victims of a rental scam. Again, police records show they made the same claim at this nearby house. It took the owners months to evict them. Right around the time they moved in to People's house.
It's just the Wild West. They simply move from one place to another.
Now, state lawmakers have passed a bill to put a stop to it. The bill allows law enforcement to immediately remove squatters who do not have a lease authorized by the property owner. It also adds criminal penalties, designating intentionally presenting a fraudulent lease as a misdemeanor.
All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's actually an update to an article I did a while back about a landlord in Jacksonville, Florida, who was dealing with a squatter up in her property, and she just was having a nightmare situation happen because, you know what, the police didn't want to help her. She was having to go through like this horrible eviction process to try to get rid of this person, even though the person had a fake lease and was a known criminal who had done this sort of thing before. So, you know what? The lawmakers in Florida, they did the right thing. They passed the law that says, hey, we're going to make it easier for property owners, make it easier for landlords who are the victims of these professional squatter tenants, right? To just get them up out of the property without having to go through the eviction process, okay? This is the kind of legislation we need throughout the entire country to deal with these criminals, okay? And I've been talking about this for a long time because it's a big issue, particularly in states like New York, California, where the tenant protections are extremely strong. But as I've pointed out, this is in Florida, and Florida is known for being a much more landlord-friendly place, so it can happen pretty much anywhere. If your property is empty for any amount of time, guess what? There are bad people who are looking for empty properties they can break into and try to take advantage of the situation. Even if it only means they're going to get a month of free rent, they could live in your place for a month, rent-free, tear the place apart and still cost you thousands of dollars, even in a landlord-friendly place such as Florida or, you know, even here like in Nebraska where I invest. So yeah, this is a bad situation. It's a good outcome in my opinion. And you know what? I want to see this sort of legislation passed throughout the entire country. So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like, subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. Do you think it's a good idea to allow landlords to be able to remove these squatters, you know, just by swearing that, hey, these people are not my tenants, and having the police arrest them, okay? Now, obviously, there are going to be a few small cases of bad actors, right? And I mention this sort of stuff because, you know what, people will say, oh, well, landlords are going to take advantage of this situation and be evicting real tenants. No. 99% of the time, landlords are not going to be doing that sort of thing, okay? You might have one or two cases of where that happens, right? But that doesn't mean that the other 99.9% of landlords are going to be doing that sort of action. And if you have a person who is doing something that is, you know, wrong or illegal, you go after that person. You don't punish every single landlord for it. That's part of my problem with a lot of these anti-landlord laws, right? Rather than targeting the people who are breaking the laws, they target all landlords, and they make the assumption that all landlords are going to act in a criminal or negligent manner, and that's completely ridiculous, okay? So anyway, let's get into this article, get into the details of exactly what was passed. This article is coming from news4jax.com, and it says, Florida lawmakers unanimously pass a bill to combat squatting, giving property owners positive hope. All right, yeah, let's get into it. State lawmakers have unanimously passed a bill to combat squatting. This comes after a News 4 Jax I-Team investigation exposing how a loophole in the law allowed people to live rent-free in a home for weeks while the property's owner, Patty Peoples, wasn't allowed on the premises. The bill would close that loophole, and it's now headed to the governor's desk. It gives me a real feeling of positive hope that we still have the ability to discuss challenges in our society and work with our legislatures in a bipartisan way, people said. It's been a year since Peoples found strangers had moved into her rental property. They refused to leave, and it was Peoples who was banned from the premises as the case spent weeks moving through civil court. When she first discovered those unwelcome guests living there, they produced a lease claiming they were victims of a rental scam again. Court records revealed they made the same claim at a nearby house. Yeah, these people were proven scammers. They had been, proven to be committing the same crime, and yet the police could not remove them, and this landlord had to go through the civil eviction process to get rid of people who, did breaking and entering, who did trespassing, who did property damage, and who did robbery. Okay? I mean, there's 4 real crimes that occurred, and the police did absolutely nothing. What a joke, okay? And this is the kind of thing that will frustrate landlords and make them just want to get completely out of the rental business. So I'm glad to see that these lawmakers are taking action. And you know what? They say that the bill has to be signed by the governor. Well, you know what? I have faith in Ron DeSantis, okay? Governor of Florida, that he is going to be much more landlord friendly. Okay, he has proven himself to be, a very good governor, and I have faith that he's going to sign this bill, and hopefully, it happens soon, because landlords, we need this sort of protection. And I would love to see a similar bill passed here where I own real estate. Okay. I wish I could move to Florida. Unfortunately, my job is here in Nebraska, and my wife's family lives here. My family lives in Kansas City. So for now, I'm going to be staying here. But, maybe when I retire, I will find my way down to Florida because, I like the way they do things down there. I'm sorry, I already read that. It took months for the owners to evict them, right around the time they moved into people's house. After several weeks, the women were evicted and the house was left with tens of thousands of dollars worth of damage. It's just the Wild West, people said. They simply moved from one place to another. Now state lawmakers have passed a bill to put a stop to it. The bill allows law enforcement to immediately remove squatters who do not have a lease authorized by the property owner. It also adds criminal penalties, including designating intentionally presenting a fraudulent lease as a misdemeanor and making a felony to intentionally sell or lease someone else's property or intentionally cause more than $1,000 in property damage while squatting or trespassing. Man, I like all of what they put into this, okay? So I actually have, let me see if I can pull up the wording that they actually put into this law, because I actually looked it up. And let's see here, CSCS SB 888, property rights. And it's a general bill by Rules, Criminal Justice, Perry, co-introducers, Yarborough. Property rights. Authorizing property owners or their authorized agents to request assistance from the sheriff where the property is located for the immediate removal of unauthorized occupants from a residential dwelling under certain conditions. Authorizing a sheriff to arrest an unauthorized occupant for legal cause, providing criminal penalties for any person who knowingly and willfully presents a false document purporting to be a valid lease agreement, deed, or other instrument conveying real property rights, etc. Yeah, because simply put, right, you present a fake lease, you know what that is? That's making a false statement, or making a false statement to a law enforcement officer, that is a crime. That is already a crime that's on the books, right? What else can you charge these people with? I mean, there's so many crimes that were already on the books, and it boggles my mind that you never heard about the police actually charging the squatters with these crimes, even though this is exactly what they were doing. You know, every once in a while you would hear about a squatter who was being prosecuted, but not often. And I want to see more of them prosecuted. I want to see them getting real jail time because, you know, they're hurting people's livelihoods here. They are taking away their houses, their properties. And I'm not just talking about landlords here, okay? This could happen to a homeowner. Imagine you're a homeowner and you own a house, you went on vacation for 3 weeks, you come back and there's somebody moved up into your house and they have a fake lease and they're like, oh, well, they rented this place to me. You know, that's your house that you were living in. Well, you should be able to say, hey, this is a complete fraud. Okay, this person is committing fraud. This person is, you know, they've breaking and entering my house. They are trespassing within my house. They did property damage to my house. Okay, I mean, you know, this should really, really be something that has been prosecuted, and in the past it never was. So fortunately, Florida has changed the rules and things are getting better for landlords. So let's hope that these same sort of rules and regulations are eventually, you know, moved to other places throughout the entire country.